In a land drenched with the gleam of idols and echoing chants to stone and wood, a young boy dares to question the world around him. While others bow to lifeless figures, he stares at the stars, the moon, and the sun, wondering, could these truly be the creators of life and all its mysteries? As the people sleep, content in blind ritual, his heart stirs with a different kind of fire, one that refuses to be silenced. It is the fire of truth, destined to burn brighter than any furnace man could build. This is not just a story of a man who challenged a king or shattered statues. It is the journey of the heart of Prophet Ibrahim, who stood alone against a world of falsehood, with nothing but unwavering faith and a soul searching for the divine. He was not like the others. Even as a child, Ibrahim's eyes did not flicker with the same awe when the townspeople prostrated before their carved gods. He watched his father, Azar, chisel idols from stone and wood, dressing them with ornaments, painting their eyes with black coal, and setting them upright in grand temples. But to Ibrahim, they were nothing more than lifeless figures. He would tilt his head and stare at them, waiting for them to speak, move, or respond. But they never did. They only stood silently, as if burdened by the very adoration they received. Azar, proud of his craft, hoped one day Ibrahim would follow in his footsteps. "My son," he said once while brushing dust from the shoulder of a half-finished idol, "this is our way. These gods have been worshipped for generations. They bring rain, they bring health, they bless our fields." But Ibrahim remained quiet. He didn't wish to anger his father, though his silence carried the weight of 1,000 questions. At night, Ibrahim would lie on the roof of their home, watching the stars. One night, as darkness spread its veil over the sky, he saw a star, brilliant and solitary. He whispered, "This is my Lord." But when it faded, vanishing behind the shroud of the night, he shook his head. "I do not love that which sets." The next night he saw the moon, majestic and round. "This is my Lord, Kana," he whispered again. But when the moon too disappeared beneath the horizon, he knew it could not be. Then came the sun, radiant and dominant. Surely if anything ruled over creation, it must be this. But by dusk, the sun too dipped behind the hills, and he sighed. "O my people, I am free from all that you associate with Allah. I turn my face to Him who created the heavens and the earth, inclined toward truth, and I am not of those who associate others with Him." But the people did not understand. They mocked His words, dismissing them as the fantasies of a rebellious youth. His father grew angry, not at the disbelief itself, but at the disruption. "Do you reject my gods, Ibrahim?" he demanded. "If you do not stop, I will stone you. Leave me for a while." Ibrahim, saddened but not shaken, replied gently, "Peace be upon you. I will ask forgiveness for you from my Lord." Ibrahim could not stand idle while the people worshipped illusions. One day when the city prepared for a grand celebration and emptied itself into the countryside, Ibrahim remained behind. Alone among the idols, he stared at them, lined up in rows like silent sentinels. He approached the biggest of them all, the one people called the Great One. Then he raised his hand, carrying the axe he had hidden, and with swift, forceful strikes, he shattered all the smaller idols into fragments. But the Great One he left untouched. Instead, he hung the axe on its shoulder. When the townspeople returned and found the temple in ruins, they were furious. "Who has done this to our gods?" they cried. Someone remembered hearing Ibrahim speak ill of them. They seized him and dragged him before the crowd. "Was it you who did this to our gods, O Ibrahim?" He replied calmly, "Rather this, the biggest of them, did it. Ask them if they can speak." The people fell silent. They looked at the broken pieces, then at the great one, standing still with the axe on its shoulder. A whisper of doubt passed through the crowd, like wind rustling dry leaves. But pride is a heavy chain, and they would not allow themselves to be humiliated by a boy's questions. "You know they do not speak," they snapped. "Then why do you worship that which cannot benefit or harm you?" Ibrahim asked. "Have you no sense?" Their answer was not reason, but rage. They built a fire, a monstrous furnace that roared like a beast. They gathered wood for days, feeding the pit with trees and branches until the flames kissed the sky. The heat was so intense no one could approach. They constructed a massive catapult, binding Ibrahim's arms and legs, ready to hurl him into the inferno. But Ibrahim stood still, his heart unwavering. As they prepared to release the rope, he whispered, "Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs." At that moment, the command from the heavens descended. Allah spoke to the fire, "O fire, be cool and safe for Ibrahim." And the fire, obedient to its creator, lost its heat. It still danced and flared, but to Ibrahim, it was as cool as a garden breeze. The people watched, stunned. He stood amidst the flames, untouched, his face serene. When he emerged from the fire unharmed, many turned away in shame, while others gaped in disbelief. Yet still they clung to their idols, for faith built on pride cannot bear the weight of truth. From that day, Ibrahim's name echoed beyond the city walls. He was no longer just a questioner of gods. He was the one whom fire could not burn, and yet his mission was far from over. His heart yearned not just to break idols, but to build a nation upon truth, to seek a future in which his children and their children would worship the one true God. His journey, filled with trials, tests, and divine promises, had only just begun. His path would lead him away from the land of his father, across deserts and valleys, to distant places where revelations would fall and destinies would unfold. But in his chest beat the heart of a man who had seen the heavens, defied kings, and walked through fire. And with every step, his faith only grew stronger. Ibrahim wandered far from the land of his people, leaving behind the idols, the scorched temple, and the hearts too proud to embrace the truth. Beside him walked his devoted wife, Sarah, and with each step into the unknown, he carried only faith. He had no maps, no promises from men, only the divine whisper in his soul guiding him toward a promise greater than any he had known. They traveled through barren lands and fertile valleys, living as strangers wherever they went. He was not seeking wealth, power, or a throne. He sought a place where his descendants could grow in truth, where the worship of Allah would not be drowned out by drums and idols. In his travels, Ibrahim came upon the land of Egypt, and there too trials awaited. Sarah, his wife, was known for her grace and beauty. Word of her reached the ears of a tyrannical king who wished to seize her for himself. Ibrahim, aware of the cruelty of men, instructed Sarah to say that she was his sister, not a lie, for she was his sister in faith. When the king summoned her, Allah protected her. Each time he tried to approach her, his limbs stiffened, his body locked as if struck by unseen force. Frightened, he begged her to pray for him, and when she did, he was released. Recognizing her piety, he let her go unharmed and even gave her a maidservant, Hajar. Years passed, and though Ibrahim was blessed in many ways, His heart longed for something deeper. He desired a child, not for vanity or legacy, but a soul to carry forward the message of Tawheed. Yet Sarah remained barren, and the years wore heavy upon them. Understanding her husband's pain, Sarah offered Hajar to him in marriage, so that through her he might have a child. From that union, Hajar bore him a son, Ismail. The moment Ibrahim held Ismail in his arms, joy flooded his heart. The boy's cries were like the call of new beginnings, and for a while Ibrahim tasted the sweetness of answered prayer. But then came a command, not cruel, not callous, but heavy with purpose. Allah instructed him to take Hajar and the infant to a barren valley, a place desolate, without vegetation, without water, lifeless except for the winds that howled through its canyons. That place would later be called Makkah. He obeyed without hesitation. He walked for days, carrying his young family into the middle of a dry desert. When he reached the valley, he turned, placed a skin of water in a small sack of dates beside Hajar, and began to walk away. She called after him, "O Ibrahim, where are you going? Are you leaving us in this desolate land?" He did not turn back. She cried again, her voice filled with disbelief and fear, but he remained silent. Finally, she asked, "Did Allah command you to do this?" He stopped, turned slightly and nodded. That was all she needed. She said with tears shining in her eyes, "Then he will not forsake us." As he walked away, his heart shattered in silence. Once he was far enough that his voice would not tremble, he raised his hands to the heavens and said, "O our Lord, I have settled some of my offspring in an uncultivated valley near your sacred house, our Lord, that they may establish prayer. So make hearts among the people inclined toward them and provide for them from the fruits that they might be grateful." The days that followed were filled with heat, thirst, and a mother's desperation. When the water was gone and the dates were finished, Hajar searched for help. She climbed the hill of Safa, looking out into the endless sands. Seeing nothing, she descended and ran to Marwa, peering again. 7 times she ran between the hills, her heart pounding with love and fear. On her final descent, she heard a sound. An angel struck the earth beside the crying baby, and from the ground gushed water, cool and fresh. It was Zamzam, a spring that would never run dry. She cried with joy, building a small wall of earth around it, saying Zamzam, Zamzam, trying to contain it. Years passed. The valley that had once been silent began to see visitors, as travelers came seeking the miraculous spring. Ismail grew tall and strong, a boy full of life and obedience. He was the apple of Ibrahim's eye. But then one night, Ibrahim saw a dream, and in it, he was commanded to do the unthinkable, sacrifice his beloved son. The dreams of prophets are truth, and Ibrahim knew this was no vision of the mind, but a test from Allah. He journeyed back to the valley, his heart silent with grief but steady with trust. When he saw his son, he embraced him, perhaps longer than usual. Then he sat beside him and said, "O my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So what do you think?" There was no hesitation in the boy's voice. "O my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, of the steadfast." The walk to the place of sacrifice was slow. Father and son, hand in hand, each step echoing with submission. When they arrived, Ibrahim laid his son down, turning his face away so he wouldn't see the pain in his eyes. But as he moved to carry out the command, Allah called out, "O Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision." And there beside them appeared a ram sent from the heavens, a substitute for Ismail. This moment of surrender and mercy would be etched into the hearts of generations. It was not the sacrifice of flesh that mattered, but the sacrifice of the self, the ego, the will, the love that clung to anything above the love for Allah. As years rolled forward, the valley of Makkah flourished, and then came another command just as sacred. Ibrahim was instructed to rebuild the Kaaba, the sacred house of worship, first raised by Adam, but lost to the sands of time. Together, father and son built it, stone by stone, their voices rising in dua. Our Lord, accept this from us. Indeed, you are the hearing, the knowing. The Kaaba stood, a beacon of monotheism in a world full of confusion. And Ibrahim, old yet unwavering, made another prayer. My Lord, make the city secure and protect me and my sons from worshiping idols. He knew the nature of man, how easily the heart forgets, how quickly it attaches to what it sees. And so, he did not only act, he prayed. One night, under a blanket of stars, he looked up and whispered his final plea. My Lord, make me an establisher of prayer, and many from my descendants. Our Lord, accept my supplication. And Allah accepted. Years later, Ibrahim's prayers would find their ultimate answer in a child yet to be born from his distant lineage, a boy named Muhammad, who would rise in the very valley where Ismail once cried beside Zamzam. But that was a story yet to unfold. For now, Ibrahim's mission was complete. He had questioned the stars, defied a tyrant, faced the fire, wandered the earth, built a sanctuary, and raised a family in truth. All along, he walked with a heart that never doubted and a soul that never turned back.